What ways are you your biggest enemy?
A lot. What ways? So there can be multiple? Well, physically, when I get anxious, I think that my chest closes in, so it literally makes it hard to breathe sometimes. That is hard. When I think that people are judging me, that definitely triggers my anxiety because it's something I feel like everyone worried about in high school, but it definitely bothered me a lot. Yeah, when I feel like people think that I'm doing something wrong or I look goofy, even though I think looking goofy is goofy, so that's cool. Along with that, I'm my worst enemy in the sense that sometimes I try to please others before I please myself. I try to think, oh, if mom and dad are proud of me because I do that, it doesn't really matter like what I think about it, but it's not the way I think anymore. So I think in some ways I'm my worst enemy when I try to please others before I please myself.
Just like minor things that I do to prevent me from, you can walk I think, but to prevent me from like getting things done and accomplishing minor goals. Like if I set a goal for myself and I decide to like simply procrastinate or something, I'm just pushing myself back.
In a lot of ways, man, I feel like a lot of people can relate to that, you know. For me, it's, you know, I'm a bigger dude, so, you know, I feel like I could do more to help my health, even though, you know, it's an unhealthy lifestyle. You kind of just still in that rut, so I guess everybody's their own worst enemy sometimes.
Some things that like I try new, like when I try something new, like I kind of doubt myself. Like when like I first started to get a hang of it and I always messed up. That's the only time, basically, I can say like I'm learning something new and like I don't get it right then and there. It's not a struggle, it's just like I just don't get it. And yeah.
Wow, man, y'all are getting real, right? I mean, again, I would have to go with self-doubt. That's a big enemy of people. Fear of failure. That's it, man. Live life, enjoy it. Fuck shit up. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm too critical of me. Like I think I could do better, and I think I need to improve at that.
We all have a nature that works against the good, and I think we are all our own worst enemy.
Time managing, I think, sometimes. Or, I don't know. Learning, like, just about, like, reading things and, like, learning new things and stuff. I don't know. I feel like driven in a lot of different directions sometimes, where I have a ton of interests, a lot of things I want to do. You know, the list just gets so big, and then, you know, you just got this like huge list of things you want to do or things you're interested in and little time to do it. So like that is like, I guess, a source of, you know, anxiety in a different way to describe it, I guess. I just want to do a lot, but I don't know. Wish I had more time too, kind of thing.
Definitely my level of self-confidence. Like at this point in time, I'm applying to college, so obviously I have to sort of think about what kind of profile I want to deliver, and obviously I want it to be authentic, but I have to sort of trust that I've done all the work leading up to this point, which I definitely have. And sometimes it's easy to compare yourself to others, but what I'm working on is doing less of that, just to ensure, like, just so I see or, you know, understand that I don't need to conform to a particular sort of profile or anything to, like, be admitted to college. Like, at the end of the day, authenticity is what helps you succeed, so, yeah.
I think that I have a lot of like negative self-talk that I've gone through in my life, and so I'm constantly kind of telling myself that I like can't do certain things, or I guess like in regards to my art and stuff, it's like I can get so scared to like create something new or like get experimental just because I'm like afraid of failing. So that's definitely like how I'm my biggest enemy, because I just like tell myself, oh, I won't be able to do this, or I don't want to do this unless it's perfect, and I'm so afraid of failure that I am just afraid to create and experiment, and I hold myself back from like a lot of things and a lot of experiences just because I'm afraid of like failure or like experiencing something new.
These are deep questions. I don't know. Probably my own like natural optimism. I like to see the best in people, and that ends up becoming like I'm too trusting sometimes.
I contradict myself a lot. I overthink. I think sometimes I overthink some of the little things, so I think I'm not capable of doing something, and then when I do it, I'm kind of like, whoa, why didn't you think that before? So I think just me overthinking is probably my biggest flaw.
I have like no motivation to do anything, so like a lot of my goals don't get done because I just don't feel like doing it, and it really sucks.
Procrastination and like telling myself that like I can't do something when I definitely can do something and just holding myself back. That's how having anxiety works.
So many ways. I think I'm simultaneously afraid of commitment and also change, and that can really like impact me in very negative ways because I don't want to like take a chance and like do something different, but I also don't want to like close doors by staying in the same space. So it's always this like internal conflict constantly. Yeah, like currently I'm like pursuing a career that I'm not exactly sure that I want to pursue, but I'm afraid of like changing tacks and trying something different because I'm afraid that if I do that, then I won't be able to come back to this if this is what I decide I want to do. So, yeah.
I'd say self-doubt probably because there's a lot of potential and a lot of things I'm capable of doing, but just getting over the hurdle of being confident enough to do it is where I struggle the most. So, yeah.
Me, my biggest enemy? Procrastination, probably. Yeah, probably don't do some things that I think I should do and wait a little too long to get the results. When I was younger, I did more. Now that I gotten older, my ambition is less.
On what ways am I my biggest enemy? Oh, Jesus Christ! God Almighty! It's just so I'm my biggest enemy on life. My biggest enemy is procrastination. Yeah, I'm always looking back and say I should have done that, and I should have done this. But I want to let you know that someone divine is going to ask you, what'd you do with your life? What did you do with it? I gave you a wonderful life, and what did you do with it? Good or bad? You're going to have something to tell him. And I'd hate the way it say it. Well, I was sitting around and didn't do nothing. Well, I got a whole lot of money and I sit on my couch and watch TV all day. Or would you rather be out in the struggle and say, hey, you remember that time we were together and we got stuck up here in Asheville, North Carolina, didn't have no money, didn't have nothing to eat, you were there with me. And that brought me comfort. That is an amazing answer right there. Anything else?
The things I do to my body. Not following instructions on my drugs and my intake that I put in my body.
I'm pretty hard on myself a lot. When I'm not super great at something new that I try initially, I'm like, why am I not good at it? But then I practice and I get better. Sports stuff, nothing like I could just pull that specifically, I guess. But like activities. Rock climbing, okay, that's fair enough. Because, yeah, you think you can rock climb hard stuff at first, but no. You've got to build like the technique, the strength and everything. So, yeah, it was just training after that to make sure I got a lot better at it. Yeah, get hard on myself at those moments, I guess.
I procrastinate a lot, so yeah, that's one thing which stops me from doing a lot of things.
I think I have a lot of self-doubt. A lot of the time I always have to ask people hey, what's your opinion on this before I do it. So I think that kind of stops or slows me down from making certain decisions.
Right now, currently, within the last few weeks, I've learned a lot of lessons. I have learned a lot about myself, and I would say I know that I have what it takes to be very focused, yet I still let myself be very distracted by things like social media and stuff. I'm trying to take a break. I haven't had it for about a month. But I think that mostly just staying on track and getting things done on time. In a sense, I am my own biggest enemy because I allow myself to be distracted by things. Yeah.
I always put myself down, saying I can't do it. But I know with God's help I can grow more. It's accept things that's changing that was looked down on in the earlier years, like the 70s and 80s.
I think
Definitely, some ways that I'm my biggest enemy would have to be just overthinking things. I think a lot of people get in their own ways, their own thoughts. So I think, well, let me restart on that. So what was your question again? Sorry. All right. So I think one way is I'm my biggest enemy. I think it's just kind of what everybody deals with, just kind of dealing with anxiety and not having to, God damn, I'm so sorry, man. All right, okay, so I think in some ways that, my biggest enemy is that, I'm not always willing to jump when my brain tells you to jump. I think a lot of times that gut reaction is kind of is the right reaction. A lot of times I think, when someone tells me to jump, I'm a little anxious to do it, and I think that holds me back from certain things and, things like that, I guess. No, actually the opposite. So I had a decision to either move out of Raleigh a couple years ago or stay in here, or kind of move back to my hometown, and I decided to stay out here, and I think that was a time when I was wanting to jump and leave, and I decided not to, and actually really helped me in the long run, helped me kind of grow out here, find my own friends out here, not go back to the people that I always knew and the comfortableness of it. So I think that's actually one of the times that not jumping was actually a good decision for me.
Yeah, sometimes you know what you should do, but on the other hand, you are hesitant to make changes, you are used to do the same things you used to do and so on. It's more comfortable to do the same, but even if you would know that it would be better to change things like your job or so. For example, I'm on my job now for 25 years, same job for the same company. It would have made sense to change it more often, but yeah, I like to do the same things, but on the other hand, I know that maybe it would be better to do some changes more often.
I think my ego and my pride, those are things that make me my worst enemy, and I think those are things that a lot of people would agree upon because, nowadays with all this technology, you want to look good, you want to feel good, so pride is something that is held upon. So me getting into my pride and my ego is something that would make me my worst enemy.
I would probably say that I'm very, very self-critical, but also I'm a huge people pleaser to the point where I get myself in trouble because I people please too far, and it kind of hits me back. So, yeah.
I'm a really big procrastinator, and it doesn't come in my favor. So that's definitely a way. I just put things off till the absolute last minute, and it's good, but sometimes it doesn't. It's not very good.
Am I my biggest enemy? I mean, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I don't know. I mean, like I feel like my ego is kind of like my worst enemy. It's like maybe my I don't know. That is a hard question. That's a good one. I like that. I don't know how to answer it though. I don't know that I am my worst enemy in any kind of way, honestly.
Well, there's many ways I am my biggest enemy. I am without a doubt my biggest enemy. I would say I'm a little bit too much of an empath sometimes. I want to do more for other people than I do for myself or even my loved ones or immediate family at times. And that would be how and why I'm definitely my own worst enemy.
Sometimes I definitely doubt myself, and I feel like without that doubt I could push myself a lot more. But sometimes when I doubt myself, I feel like I just kind of like stop what I'm doing and like not reach my full potential, if that makes sense.
I think my biggest enemy can just be sometimes like I can be a little negative towards myself. Like, for example, if I feel like I tell myself, you can't do that, or just like, oh man, you're not like doing this well enough, or like you could be doing better. Like whether it's like an assignment through school or just like through a conversation or just like getting involved, like I'd be telling myself like, yeah, you're doing a good job, but you could be doing better, but I think that's something that I've been working on the past few years, like trying to build up more like self-positivity and all that. And sometimes it happens from time to time, it comes back from time to time, but overall I feel like I've gotten a lot better with it, and I think it's something I can control now. So yeah,
I tend to overthink a lot, definitely kind of get in my own head about certain things, and that really kind of slows me down sometimes. So I would say that that's probably the biggest thing that makes me my own enemy sometimes.
Probably not being as confident as I should be. I'm in my thoughts a lot, I guess, you know. Yeah.
I don't really have an answer to that. I don't really see myself, I guess, as my own enemy. I feel like I know who I am, so I feel like I don't really know. I just don't see myself as my own enemy, I guess.
Imposter syndrome, you know, like I was saying. It's hard to, like, I want to do creative things in the future, but it's really hard to feel like that's okay, you know? Like, it's hard to feel like I can do that, you know? Even if I am actually doing the things, it's like I'm not going to feel like I'm good enough at it. Yeah, in those moments, I could be my biggest enemy. But as long as I keep, you know, doing it, then I'm doing it, so.
I would agree with her. Just like thinking that I'm not good enough for stuff, or thinking that I don't deserve nice things such as like love and things like that. Just, you know, everybody's deserving of that kind of stuff, so yeah.
I'm my biggest critic, so when I mess up, I am the last person to forgive myself.
I am very degrading to myself. I am very mean to myself about like academics, the way I look, talk. So I'm probably my worst enemy in that sense.
Sometimes I'm too critical of myself, and I just need to work on forgiving myself for mistakes and things like that. Yeah.